This is the car which is on the chopping block out of all three of them.
You're watching Motoring Box, proudly supported by Century Batteries.
Welcome back to Motoring Box. I'm Sean McKellar and today we're going to talk a little bit about my current fleet of cars. Now first up, you would have seen my Mitsubishi Magna Ralliart on the channel a heck of a lot recently. It is looking pretty good. It's running good as well. We have some maintenance left to do on it, but you're not going to see that car for a little while because early to mid next month, mid-June, it's going away to get polished. It has some imperfections. We want to polish out as many of those as we can. And I found a brilliant bloke who's going to take care of that for me next month. So you're not going to see that car for a while, but when it comes back, I have to bite the bullet and tackle the timing belt on that too. That's going to be a big job, not one I've done before, pretty much on any car ever. And then you get to my two Falcons. So you haven't seen my BA XR6 Turbo for a little while. I had a new turbo, wastegate assembly and everything installed onto that car. Chasing gremlins is really the headline for that car, but touch wood, there's none in my vicinity. I've got them all ironed out and that car is running better than it ever has, even though it got tuned about 2 years ago. It has never run better than it has now. In the process, I've learned a lot about the Haltech NSP ECU, how it works, how to set it up, how to change things, how to fix things. So I'm going to be sending out a video soon covering all of that. And then finally, you get to a car which you haven't seen for a hell of a long time. My 2001 AU Fairmont Ghia. Now, I owe a heck of a lot to this car. I bought it, as it turns out, 5 years ago, nearly to the day, 5 years. Can you believe it? But the AU Fairmont and also my old NC Fairlane are two of the cars which really catapulted me, or not catapulted, but kind of gave me a little bit of a punt up the YouTube ladder. You know, I'm not the most successful YouTuber in the world, but this is one of the cars that I owe my limited success down to this. The condition is gradually getting worse over the years too, but it's one that I care about. You know, I've spent so much money fixing this thing up, and on the drive over here today, I just forgot how awesome this car drove because I haven't driven it for, geez, getting on about 6 or 8 months now. It's been sitting under a car cover. So yeah, it's definitely starting to suffer over the years. The liquid silver paint is looks all right on the sides, which you can see, but the top, the bonnet, the boot, horrendous. It's really lightening up and just the clear coat's shot. It hasn't started peeling yet, but it's got that cloudy look where it's all patchy and gross. It just looks a bit drab, a bit run down, and I'm not proud of it anymore. And really that got me thinking, well, what do I do with it? There were some ideas bouncing around in my head for a while. What if I bought a VS Statesman, a Holden? What if I bought, I don't know, an old E-Series Falcon? But I just can't bring myself to sell one of my cars. This is the car which is on the chopping block out of all three of them. I've actually got a plan. After all these months of bouncing it around in my head, I figured out exactly what I'm going to do. The first one is obvious. I want to get it resprayed. It's going to be in liquid silver, exactly how it is now, but brand new paint, closed door respray. We'll try and get one for about $5,000 or $6,000. That seems to be what they go for these days. You can see here as well, I've got the Series 3 Fairmont wheels on with some new tires. That was just really, I needed new tires, so I slapped them on. They're not restored. They're not looking that great, so they'll probably need to be restored too. But the paint and the wheels are just going to get this car looking better. It's not really going to change how it feels to drive. And that is where the second stage of my plan comes into play. So what we're going to do with the AU Fairmont is we're going to go back to 2001 or to 1998 when the AU was first launched and consider it as an alternate universe. What if, instead of in the B series models that they introduced the turbocharged engines, the Barra, what if they introduced turbo engines into the AU? So we're going to keep the mighty Integ VCT, which I can hear a few of you cheering in the comments, and we're going to be slapping B-Series turbo gear onto it, essentially. So it's going to be a used B-Series turbo manifold with an adapter plate, a new Pulsar turbocharger to the BA or B-Series turbo specifications. It's going to be running a B-Series intercooler on the front, B-Series piping, crossover, airbox. When you look under here, it's going to look pretty much like a stock standard factory Integ VCT turbo engine. And that is something I've had sort of rattling around in my head for years. What if they had an Integ VCT turbo from the factory in their higher end cars like the Fairmont Ghia? I currently have parts flying across the country in my direction as we speak. I have that Pulsar Turbo on the way. I have a Haltech Elite 750 ECU, which we're going to be splicing in to the stock standard wiring loom on this car. So the standard ECU is going to remain in place to run certain functions of the car, and then the Haltech is going to splice into that to run the engine, control the boost, and do all the magic stuff like that. When it comes to the rest of this, I believe we can leave a lot of it alone. The intake manifold, but also like the cable throttle body and everything, because we're going to be running a Haltech Elite as a piggyback system. It can read like the throttle position sensor. It can control like the idle vacuum motor here on the top. It can do a lot of things. And then like the stock standard ECU of the car is going to handle the rest. So we also don't need the map sensor, which is going to be down here on the intake manifold, because the Haltech Elite actually has one built in. So you run a little vacuum hose to that. It'll be living under the dash of the car somewhere. That's another thing. From the turbo, we're going to get a stock dump pipe, probably a stock front half of the exhaust, like the first piece with the cat converter built into it and the heat shielding. So we'll grab one of those. We'll put a wideband O2 into it. We're going to be using a lot of secondhand B-series turbo parts. It's really just the turbo, which is brand new. We're going to be using an intercooler, which I have already off my BA. So I would think once the car's painted, we'll get the Haltech installed. That would be the next step. Get it running as an NA motor as it is. And that way, once the turbo gear goes on, hopefully it'll just be a retune and a few setting changes to get everything up and running. I will need some water outlets, like a water line feed to the turbo and then an outlet drain back into the system. I've got to work out where they're going to sort of come out of and then go back into. It's just getting an oil drain as well, put back into the sump. So it's going to be something I might farm out. But yeah, as far as I can tell, there's not really going to be much else that needs to be done to get it up and running. So I think, fuel will be one last thing. It'll be interesting to know the stock fuel pump and also the stock injectors, how much boost or power can they handle. It might mean that I need a new pump and a new set of injectors, a new fuel pressure regulator perhaps as well. We'll see. Again, let me know your thoughts. If you've got the knowledge, let me know in the comment section below. This is going to be a pretty slow burn project. You're not going to see me getting kicked into it next week or anything like that. I've got to find someone to paint it. So that'll be next. The car will be away for probably a couple of weeks. It might be August or September potentially by the time it's painted, and we're getting back into it. So do subscribe, stick with me. It's going to be a bit of fun, and we're going to be bringing this thing not back from the dead, but back from a shameful place to something which we can be proud of. We can take it around to the shows and let people have a look at it and enjoy it. So that's it, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts as well about what you reckon about this plan. It's something I've thought of for a long time, and I really hope you enjoy the idea of it and where we're going to take it. It would have been sad to say goodbye to this thing, and we're definitely not going to do that anymore. So that's it, guys. Have a good one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.